Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're looking at a big one, and that is Talk About Tricks, the complete file by Joshua J. We also have the second book here, but I do think that if I put both on these on the table, since it's not a very sturdy table, it's just going to fall apart. That's how heavy these are. So yes, we're going to be looking finally at Talk About Tricks by Joshua J. I've had this since it originally released, but I did want to take my time to read through every single page before making a review on it, since I really wanted to be an informative review about my experience about this, about owning this. So yeah, it's been almost a year since I've basically launched. I think this launched in like September of last year. So it's been almost a year, getting close to half a year since I've owned this, and yeah, I just wanted to make a review about it, even though it's late. I think that it's still going to be informative for quite a few people, seeing what I have to say. So yeah, let's not beat around the bush any more than I have already. Let's roll the intro and get straight into this. Perfect. So you decided to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Talk About Tricks by Joshua J. Now, what is Talk About Tricks? Talk About Tricks is the symposium of every single effect that Joshua J has published in Magic Magazine from 2001 to 2013. Over a decade of magic rubrics are in these books, and that is essentially what Talk About Tricks is. Now, I can't really perform this for you because there's so many routines, and I think this is going to be a long video as is. I don't want to make it even longer by adding routines. So yeah, I won't be performing anything from this to you, but I am going to talk about the content. So knowing what this is, where do you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get? So you can buy this directly from vanishingink.com or from other stores as well. I know it's available from ALAKAZAM Magic as well. That's where I bought mine. If you want, you can use my discount code down below and get 10% off your purchase, which is around 20 bucks from these books if you buy it from there. If not, I think this is available at Penguin Magic as well, and I think it's available at quite a few other magic dealers, maybe even your local magic dealer. Make sure to check it out. Maybe you're going to find this in stock and available for you. This will set you back $250 US. So this is not a cheap set of books. So it is expensive. It's going to set you back 250 USD. And what you get is this. You get this big slipcase, beautiful slipcase here, as you can see. And inside here you get your two books. You get volume 2 and volume 1. I think just by showing you one volume, it speaks about the other one as well, since they're pretty much the same thing. So you're getting these two volumes, okay? And you're getting all the tricks that were published in the Talk About Tricks column in Magic Magazine from 2001 to 2013. So yeah, you're getting these two books. They're very beautiful. They're super sturdy. They have this beautiful slipcase that I love, like this plastic slipcase, but you can also remove it if you want, if you wish, and you can show that the books are like this. They're hardbound, they're hardcover. They really are beautiful. They're like the pages are like laminated. They're very nice, very glossy. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book, and a beautiful set of books that you're gonna be proud and happy to own and have on display wherever you want it. They're beautiful. The quality of them is great. So that is essentially what you get. Now, before getting into the actual review, let's talk about a few miscellaneous things, two specifically. One, let's talk about the content of these books. So when you buy this, what exactly are you learning? So I would say that around 75% of what you're learning across the two books combined is card magic. So you're going to be learning card tricks, card sleights, card maneuvers, and all of that. So a lot of card magic from people that you may know and some you may not know. But there's also some really famous names here. There's tricks by Aussie Wind. There's tricks by Joshua J himself, by Andy Gladwin, by John Bannon, by Di Vernon. There's so by tricks from Di Vernon, right? He's not actually teaching. I don't believe he's actually teaching them. Someone teaches it from him, but Darwin Ortiz, etc., etc. There's a lot of great magicians inside of these books. Great symposium of card magicians here. So 75% is card magic. I would say 15% is coin magic. So you're getting quite a few coin tricks in here. And then the remaining 10% is, I'd say, miscellaneous magic. So you're gonna get a few mentalism things. You're gonna get things using a normal object like salt shakers, lighters, matchboxes, crayons, pencils, Sharpies, rings, etc. So the last 10% is kind of a mishmash of different things, but I would say primarily this is card magic. Most of what you are seeing here in both volumes is card magic centered, okay? So that is the content. And the second thing that I want to mention, which is going to be my only complaint of this book or this volume of books, is how hard they are to read. And I want to make that kind of clear for people, because I do know some people don't have that good of eyesight or that good concentration, etc. These are hefty and hard books to read, okay? I'm currently aspiring to be a teacher and a professor, and I've been being a teaching assistant for quite some time, and I'm finishing a master's and probably going to do a PhD to become a teacher. So I do read a lot, right? I do read a lot, whether it's magic or for my work or for my school. I read a lot and I don't have a problem with reading. But this is hard to read for some specific reason. One, since there's so many tricks here, right? This spans over 12 years of magic. You're getting 12 years worth of magic here, which means that to fit everything in these books, they're already so huge and hefty, they had to make the writing very small, very condensed, and very compact, and have to cram everything. And I feel that's my biggest issue, because the writing is small. So a lot of times when you're learning a trick, you're looking there, you're reading, and then it says see figure 1, but figure 1 is going to be like on the left side. So you're going to be, okay, let me check figure 1. Okay, that's what they want me to do. And then when you go back up, since literally all the text is crammed, like 20 lines in this amount of page, you're going to be like, oh, where exactly was I? So you're going to be like, you're going to have to go check. It's very compact. There's no spaces in between. It's crammed. And I think the perfect example to show you this is I've even placed kind of this morning before filming, just so you can see how crammed the pages are. I'm gonna go fast since I don't want to spoil the entire trick, but look at this. There's writing moving in diagonal, moving in this diagonal here. There's images here. There's text here. The trick starts here but continues here, but then continues on this page for like 2 lines, but then there's more pages here in diagonal. Then there's tricks all over, and you can see what I mean by it being very small, and everything is crammed inside of every page. Like, look at this here. There's like maths and things. Everything is crammed. And like really, like, you understand what I mean by that. It's because there's so much things here, and these books are so big. If they were to take and make this a bit more easy to read and make it more spacious, they would probably need 3 books, which would make it even more expensive, or they would need to make the books even bigger, which is not what you want. So to me, that's my biggest issue. I couldn't read more than 3 or 4 tricks a day, right? So when I wanted to read, I would probably read 3 or 4, and then I'd be like, whew. Now that was a workout. That was a mental workout to read through all of that. So I think that's my biggest complaint, and I think it's one that you kind of need to know, because I know some people that don't like reading or have reading problems or don't have that good of an eyesight. You don't want to now start bringing out your magnifying glass or really like forcing yourself and complicating your life trying to go through these pages. So I really wanted to make that clear and mention that, because that to me was really a bummer in my experience of this. Like, usually I could read this in probably like a month, right? I could probably read one of this in a month if I really commit to it, but I just couldn't. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that from the offset here about the book. So having said that, let's talk about the difficulty. What is the difficulty of the tricks? So the tricks here are graded from 1 diamond, which is the easiest, to 5 diamonds, which is the hardest. And every trick has that scale before you actually start learning it. And I would say that over 60% of the tricks find themselves in the realm of 3, 4, or 5 diamonds. So this is definitely not a beginner book. So this is definitely not something that you pick up as a beginner and you hope that you're going to become a great magician. This is not the book for you. This is, in my opinion, more for intermediate, experienced magicians that are seeking not necessarily to learn tricks. I'm going to talk about this as we move on, but to learn about the history of magic, learn about certain principles, and learn how they can use the routines they have now, learn about older principles, and maybe how they can work together and try and mix and make their new routines maybe a bit better by using some moves that they have not seen, or maybe the opposite. Take a routine here that is very old and make it your own with newer moves and newer things that you've learned throughout the years, right? So difficulty-wise, I would say definitely intermediate to advanced. And also, seeing that I've just mentioned that, I've mentioned old tricks. A lot of the things here, some of them are old tricks. And when I mean old, you have things here, even when, in the pictures, there's some pictures of Josh presenting some of the tricks, and he's literally dressed like if he was like in the 1900s, right? It's some of these tricks are very old, and for a lot of people, they're not gonna like that, right? A lot of these tricks, even for me, I was like, that's a really cool idea, but I do not see myself ever in my life performing this effect, right? There's some tickets, there's a routine here, for example, that uses, those like 10, 20 years ago, when you used to go to the cinema, they would give you like the admit one little tickets that they give you now to like some really cheap state fairs, right? There's some tricks revolving that. And here in Montreal, it's really hard to find those. So that's how old some of these tricks are, right? So there's some really old things in here. So you really have to keep that in mind, that you're not going to get the fanciest and the greatest tricks here. You're going to get kind of a progression of the history of magic and learn and see how magic has evolved throughout the years. And by saying that, funny enough, there's some of the tricks in this book that are being released currently by the actual authors. For example, there's a trick here by Aussie Wind that's in his latest book, Repertoire, as well. So some of these are still incredible tricks that people are releasing nowadays, right? Because they're so good and they stood like the time. They stood the time test. I really forgot how we say that analogy. Stood the test of time, or stood something like that. So I just want to mention that even though I say that some of these are old, you're not just learning here wand magic, right? Where you do things with a wand. No. But I just wanted to mention that there is quite a lot of chapters or quite a lot of tricks that will not appeal to a lot of people, etc., etc. But with this amount of tricks, then you're not going to like everything. It's impossible. But difficulty-wise, to close it out, 3 to 5 diamonds, I'd say intermediate to experienced or advanced magician for these books. Moving on to practicality, is this practical to perform? And I'd say yes, I would say most of, if not 90% of the routines here are borrowed shuffle deck in use, or using your regular Morgan dollars, half dollars, and the classic gimmicks that you use like turtles, etc. in those routines. So most of the card magic here is borrowed shuffle deck in use, or something that requires like a 2-3 second setup. So really practical in that regard. You don't need many gimmicks for most of these routines, or you don't need to prepare any gimmicks or DIY any gimmicks. There's 1, 2, or maybe like I would say 10 effects out of the entire book that need you to make your own gimmick and prepare your own gimmick and go out of your way to make the gimmick for those effects. But apart from that, even if there are some of them that use gimmicks, is your classic double backer, double-sided card, turtle for your coins. So very simple things like that. But yeah, most of it is like impromptu shuffle deck in use, or just your normal fare. So nothing really complicated. It's also hard to say about angles and table, no table. There's everything here. There's a bit of everything. So depending on the routines that you like, you're going to find things table, no table, walk around, no walk around, etc. So I can't really talk about practicality since most of these are practical. Moving on to where to perform. Where would you perform these effects? I think these effects are, again, pretty much, you can perform them anywhere. I mean, you can do these close up, casual, walk around, table hopping, bars, restaurants, wherever. If you have a camera on stage, you can do some of these effects on stage. You can do some of these effects in parlor, depending, of course, of the effect. I can't go through 300 plus effects and tell you, this one you can do it here, this one you can do it here. Generally, you can find things that you can do anywhere, right? That's, I think, the consensus that I'm just going to tell you is that if you want to perform this material, you will find places to perform the material that you enjoy from this book. Okay? So that's about what to perform. So having said all of that, I don't think there's much to say. I think I've pretty much said everything that's important about this. So I'm just going to mention now what I find as a negative, what I find as the positives, and my recommendation or not of the book. So let's go into the negatives first. One of the negatives of the book is, as I mentioned, the writing is very crammed, very compact. There's no space, there's no breathing room in this book at all, right? That's the first negative. Second one bleeds from that is that it makes it a bit hard to read. A third negative is that some of this material, in my opinion, is a bit outdated, but it doesn't mean that it's not valuable, because even though it's outdated, put your own spin on it with what you know now, what you've learned throughout the years, and make that old routine a bit newer. But there are some routines here that do feel a bit outdated, but that doesn't mean you can't get away something from them. But I did want to mention that. And the last thing, it's not been much of an issue for me, but I do know some people complained about the table of contents, because there's a table of contents at the start of this book and at the end of the second book for you to find your tricks. And for some people, it's really hard to have to go through like 20 pages just to find the trick that they like if they forgot to note it down. So what I did personally is every trick that I like or enjoyed, I took sticky notes, I put the sticky notes, then I cut the sticky notes with scissors to make them all the same size. And now if I want a trick or if I want to look through something, I can just go like take the sticky note here, put my finger here and open up to the page. So I did that for myself. And if you want, for some of them, I even indexed. So the ones that I really, really liked, I like indexed and put the name here. So I can literally just flick through and see, oh, this is one of my favorite routines in the book. I can get to it easily. So I've indexed for me in both volumes, whether it's volume 1 or volume 2, I've indexed my favorite tricks here. So instead of going through that, I have everything here. So that could be an idea for you as well if you end up purchasing this. But yeah, for some people, it's not an issue. For me, I've seen that the table of summary and finding effects is, if you don't do something like this, is quite an annoying process. So having said that, let's talk now about the positives. What is the positives about this? One, incredibly beautiful books. They're really, really great. Second of all, you're getting so many tricks here. It's impossible for you not to like or learn something from these books. Like, even if it's 50 routines, right? That comes like what? Like I'm not going to do the math here because I don't want to seem dumb, but if you do 250 divided by 50, that's how much it's going to cost you per one effect, which is probably not going to be a lot. So, even if it's just 50 things that you learn from here, which is probably not, you're probably going to learn much more, but you're getting a lot of things. The books are beautiful. The slipcase of them is beautiful. These will look beautiful on your shelf as a timepiece. And I think the beauty of this is not in the tricks itself, but in seeing how far magic has come and learning about what you've missed. Because for a lot of people like myself that started in the era of magic where YouTube was it, right? When I started, if you wanted to get into magic, it was YouTube, right? Back in the day, YouTube, right? If you wanted to learn anything, you would just go on YouTube. And honestly, that's what's kind of started my passion of magic, is just going through YouTube and learning stuff. And, back in the day, I would just buy the latest gimmick and never buy a single book. And now I'm buying more and more books because I know that in the books, there's the gold, right? That a lot of people miss. And I think that having something like this and going through something like this just shows you how important books still are for magic and how many people still omit going to books to find some of their favorite effects. And I think that this is the value of this, learning and seeing how magic has evolved in the past 20, 30 years is just of great value for myself, and I think for a lot of people. And the last thing that I want to mention is that there's also variety in this book. It's not just all cards, it's not just all coins. There's a bit of everything for everyone. So, having said all of this, would I recommend talk about tricks, and what would I rate out of 10? I would recommend talk about tricks to people that are really, really serious about magic, and people that are really serious about having a timepiece in their library that they could go through in 10 years, in 20 years, and find something buried down, like a treasure routine that everyone has forgot. You're gonna find it probably in here. So I think for that type of magician is worth it. If you're really passionate about magic, especially card magic, this is a great symposium for you. And I think this book is for you. If you're someone else that's just looking to buy the newest thing off the shelf, or buy the most fooling, deceptive card trick of all time, or buy the latest gimmick, or have the easiest read of your life and find every single effect incredible, this is not for you. So I'd really say this is not for everyone. This is really if you're really committed to having a timepiece of magic in your library that you want to look through eventually throughout the years and have kind of encyclopedia, kind of like a dictionary of magic where you find gold through and through. This is for you. So what would I rate talk about tricks out of 10? It's really hard to rate it out of 10 because routine-wise and trick-wise, I'm not going to be performing much of the things here, which means I can't give it more than an 8. But my experience, even though it was a bit annoying to read, of seeing how magic has moved from one time frame to another and to another period in time, was just worth in gold. And having these books, maybe in 10 years when I'm older and I change my vision on something and I'm like, I really want to learn something that does this, I have here a resource at my disposal where I can find so many things by so many good magicians. That is worth more than an 8. So I think it's arbitrary here. I think I'm gonna give it 2 grades. I think I'm gonna give it a grade based on the material and what I'm gonna be performing from here. I'm probably gonna give it a 7. There's some effects that I'm gonna be performing from here, yes, but not many, right? Even though I have a lot of tabs, most of these tabs are on card sleights and card moves and not actual effects. So yeah, I'll probably give it a 7. However, in terms of an encyclopedia and a trove of magic, I'm going to give it a 9.5 on 10. So I think this pretty much tells you about the 2 groups of people that I've mentioned, right? If you're just looking for the tricks, maybe not for you, especially for the price. If you're looking to go past the tricks and look at something else, this is definitely for you. I hope that made sense. That's all for me. This was a hefty review. I filmed some hefty reviews that you're going to see this coming week, so I hope you're going to be enjoying them. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate if you have any comments, leave them down below, and I'll see everyone in my next one.